All right. Oh, actually.
Okay, Senate Bill 136 has to do with the Safe Schools Fund, which was created back in 2018 when the Omnibus School Safety Bill was created. What this bill is doing is saying that right now, the funds are distributed proportionally to each school in the state. This would allow those grant funds to be reallocated to school systems that have fully expended their allocation and demonstrate need within the same fiscal year. So that's what the bill does. I've done a bit of research. Do you want me to go over that? Okay. So I think the particular key phrases in this bill is that they can be reallocated within the same fiscal year. There are instances where some schools are not applying, thus their allocation is unused. So this bill would allow those funds to be reallocated.
So, just so I'm clear, so the monies, does a certain amount in equal amounts theoretically go to every school in the state?
It's proportional based on the number of schools in the county, but yes.
Right. But each of those schools, wherever they were across the state, would get the same rough amount of money, or is it based on the number of students in that school?
It's based on the number of schools, so yes.
Number of schools, but not the number of students
Correct.
at the schools. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so this reallocation is just by county, or?
Correct, yeah.
So every school in the county gets roughly the same amount, but then some of them don't apply and some of them do?
So the applications are on the district level, so yes, some districts have not applied for the grant.
Some districts, no schools have applied.
Correct.
And so are we redistributing that to other districts, or are we distributing that within the districts?
No. No.
No what?
So.
Just no. Take no for an answer.
So in the same fiscal year, so there's, say, $10 million that's on the table every year.
For the whole state?
The whole state, $10 million every single year. If a county in that year does not apply for it, they get nothing, and their allocation does not get used by anybody else.
I see.
Under current law.
Correct.
And the bill?
The bill would say that it can be reallocated within the same fiscal year.
To other counties?
Correct.
To other counties. So it's only the movement to other counties. There's not like an amount, like you can't give more money to a school that's already got it in your current county. You can't be reallocating within your allotment for the county.
Presumably that can already happen because the money goes to the district and the district decides how to use it.
Okay.
So this all happens at the district level. So if County A doesn't want any, it's saying the rest of the 23 counties can take their share and use it as they need.
Gotcha. Senator Hedelman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I understand the amount is the same, and do we know what counties are not currently using their allotments? And then who makes the decision about if there are other counties that have more need and want to apply for that money? Who makes the decision about how that is distributed?
Right. Okay. So in 2024, I do have a list. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 counties that did not apply. Therefore, they're getting 0 of their allocation.
And were they?
They are Baltimore City, Cecil County, Frederick, and Howard.
Whoa, how about that?
So the grants right now are awarded by the Center for School Safety, also kind of in collaboration with the IAC. It's a group thing. So the bill is silent as to who would administer it, but I believe just the way that the grants work now, that they would be making the determination if other counties need it.
Is there a way to tighten that up so that, like, if, you know, Baltimore County has a lot of schools that might need a lot of hardening up. How can we ensure that those decisions are made equitably, I guess? Because now it's not just an equal amount for every county. Now there's actually some subjective criteria that needs to be used to determine what happens to these excess funds.
Yeah, right. So certainly, language can absolutely be amended in to, if you all want to designate how the reallocation, some priority list, some determination that you want the center to evaluate in determining how to reallocate this.
Just, I mean, there are different, like there's other school safety, there's other safety funds out there, right, through GOCAP, for example, that the governor just increased in his budget. And so a lot of times entities use both because they might be a school and a synagogue, for example.
Okay.
So I guess trying to figure out what the criteria are, I think would be helpful.
Yeah, so there's, as you mentioned, lots of different pots of money for school safety, because there's also within, under the IAC's purview, is a separate $10 million pot for like school hardening and infrastructure building type things that need to happen to a school. Technically, this fund that we're talking about here is predominantly used, and in fact, statute says that 10 million from this fund goes to SROs.
Personnel, right?
And adequate coverage. So that's really what we're talking about here. That's how it's actually being used. So 10 million of what's in the fund needs to be used for that. But then there is like 600,000 of monies that we get from school bus fines that can be used for other, that's also part of the pot. So there's a lot going on with
Right,
this
which
pot.
actually leads to, that's helpful to know, because do some jurisdictions have prohibitions on funding to SROs?
No, the safety law that was passed in 2018 requires either an SRO or adequate school coverage, whether that's a collaboration with the police department or each entity can do that on their own. But the standard of having coverage applies
Gotcha.
across.
Okay.
And just to
Thank
be
you.
clear, none of these are, there's not a match associated with any of this, right?
So I was talking to the budget analyst about that last night, and she's still digging into exactly that. Again, because there's 3 or 4 different pots that can all be used for very similar things. I have heard someone say there's a match. There's no match in statute, so I don't know where that is coming from.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just before I say what I was going to say, so each school system has already employees who do security, and the SROs are in addition to that. My question is, if a school system does not apply, you name 4 systems, what happens to those dollars? And I think, do they roll over to the next year?
Yeah, so, okay. So what happens to those dollars in year 1, the year for the applications, is they do not get reallocated. Okay, so that money stays in the special fund. But because it's a special fund, it stays in the special fund from fiscal year to fiscal year to fiscal year. So there have been years where the balance of the special fund has been greater than the annual appropriation, right? Because it's unused, and so it accrues to the next year. So there have been fiscal years where more than $10 million has been allocated. I do have,
But it's still on a prorated, it's still,
yes,
okay.
yes. So the key here, I believe, is in the current year. So this is saying that in 2024, these 4 districts didn't use it. So in 2024, whatever those school districts left on the table could be reallocated. Otherwise, it just goes back into the pot and will get reallocated in the following year.
So I think I understand, and I listened to the names of the jurisdictions that did not apply, and I also see the sponsor of the bill. So,
Which can, yeah, but that confused me, to be honest with you.
yes, same here,
because-
same here.
Listen, Frederick is not.
And the sponsor of the bill is asking that if there's any dollars left over, that other jurisdictions can get the dollars.
Yes, and the way it's phrased, it's to jurisdictions that demonstrate need within the same fiscal year. So, you know, in my head, that means if the allocation that the statute provides, if they have more need than that allocation, then this would allow them to get
Is there,
more money.
and I'll get off of this for a second. Is there, you know, is there a time period that counties apply? So is a window, could a window,
Yeah.
Sure. Is there a reason why the counties aren't requesting the money?
None that I know of.
So,
I mean, there may be. I just would not know the answer to that question
no problem.
at this point in time.
Yeah, just from what I've learned today about this, seems like a solution in search of a problem. If the counties are not asking for money because they don't feel they need the money, seems the system that we have seems like it rolls over and it's used for school safety. So I'd like to know more if there's really a problem to be fixed.
I should also mention that the BRFA has a provision affecting this fund. So right now, there's an annual mandate to put $10 million into this fund.
Yeah.
The BRFA maintains the $10 million mandate, but not into this fund.
So it gets rid of the rollover.
So the
Where'd it
fund, it would just go to the center to distribute on an annual basis. But that's still being evaluated, right? Because it's in BRFA?
But they can't hold it
But they always
every year.
Correct. So whatever's in the special
would come back to the
funds-
general fund.
Correct.
That sounds like a BRFA provision to me, and I think we ought to consider these together.
Oh, there's no question. We need to think about this. Yeah.
So, do we hold it or do we move on?
Oh, we're holding.
Close.
Yeah, the application things, it's either in statute or it's in regulation, in which case. Data. Report. Sorry, it's a very long subtitle.
All right, well, it's being held, so
Okay.
let's keep moving. 'Cause I know. The red cup had a big agenda today.
Yeah, scanning through quickly, I don't see an application set out in statute, but I can talk to the center.
Okay, 204.
Okay. Senate Bill 204 is the departmental one from SDAT. This is the one dealing with when a county needs to set their tax rate and notify SDAT. This is the one current law, it's July 1. You heard testimony from MML and from Anne Arundel County that they wanted a different date to allow their budget process, their local budgeting process to be finalized before needing to then report their final tax rate. Question came up of what does MACO think? MACO says that their preference is June 20th, which was the same that Anne Arundel County wanted. MML suggested June 15th. And MACO individual told me that, I guess, he indicated that the department was fine with June 20th. I have not had that discussion, but that's what I was told.
Who did make it?
MACO,
Make it, not MML.
Correct.
Did anyone go back to MML again with that?
No, but I was thinking June 20th gives more time than June 15th would, so why would they object?
Right. Now it's June, right? June 1st,
Now it's July 1,
July 1.
current law, July 1. So the locals would have to get the information, would have to set their rate by June 20th under this proposed amendment from MACOM.
Anybody have any thoughts about this? It's hard to do, I mean, want to help the locals do what they got to do.
Right. I mean, it doesn't hurt anything, does it, to move the
You-
dates?
So wait a minute, the original date is July 1.
Correct.
And the bill changes it to
The bill changed it to June 1.
June 1. And the county's, what, the 20th?
Correct.
I mean, I guess we can defend that on the floor, but it's like,
Yeah.
feelings? Yes, Senator Zucker. Who's going to take it to the floor?
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman. So the July 1st, was that because of the fiscal year piece? They were lining it up with the fiscal year?
So it's, let me see. Probably. It's also, there are deadlines. Okay, so there's additional deadlines. According to the department, reason why they're asking for this is because homeowners' tax credits, other deadlines for calculation of things that the department has to do happens to also be July 1. So they're asking for a little bit more time to be able to calculate those, because right now they're having to reissue tax bills after they get the data and can do, and they can then notify about various programs and credits. So they're saying, the department is saying that the bill would cut significantly into the number of revised tax bills issued by local governments and the number of service calls fielded by SDAT for late or missing credits.
So I wonder if there's actually cost savings with the not having to send out revised notices, staff and.
Yeah, the fiscal note doesn't say that, but as you know, we don't really do
Right.
dynamic scoring, so. Sometimes notes are put in there, but this is saying that the state effect is none, the bill does not materially affect state finances, the local effect, none. They did a limited survey of local jurisdictions, and says that the changes may affect local budget processes and could require changes to local charters, but that's just as they set their rates and the way that those rates impact the charters, so.
How does anybody feel about any of this? Are you okay with this? On the 20th,
Yeah.
Okay.
Move favorable,
As amended.
as amended.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Senator Zucker. Out of order. All right, of course, Senator McCrae's not here, but we're just gonna talk about this, 295.
Senate Bill 295 is the income tax reconciliation program. It establishes a income tax reconciliation program for incarcerated individuals who have been incarcerated for 6 months to 10 years. The bill basically allows them to apply to participate in the program and set up an installment plan to pay back taxes for when they were incarcerated. If they participate in the program, the bill also waives the penalties and interest for those individuals. There were two advocacy groups that submitted testimony favorable with amendments in reference to this legislation. One was a group called Prepare for Parole and Reentry, and the other is the University of Baltimore Center for Criminal Justice Reform. And basically what their comments were is that there are eligibility limitations that may impede the impact of providing justice to all people. They took, they were concerned about the 6 months to 10 years time period and thought that that should be expanded to include more incarcerated individuals.
So basically, when they're incarcerated, they have a tax bill they haven't paid yet.
Correct.
And on the way out, they enter the program if they choose, and then can have an installment basis to pay off whatever that amount is.
Yes. And the interest and penalties for that period of time would be waived.
Senator Hellman?
It's just for a set period of time?
That's just the way the bill came in. And again, these two advocacy groups did point it out, but they said they didn't have time to prepare anything additional other than saying that we think the eligibility period should be expanded.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll ask Senator McCray when he gets back, but I mean, I have to guess that the 6 months is that from a just sort of a management standpoint, the people who are in for less than that, I guess the assumption is that they are able to.
I didn't mean that.
Well, what did you mean?
It's only applicable for tax years 25 through 29.
Oh.
And it may just be because the fiscal note, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or pilot.
Yeah.
We generally feel okay with this, though, if we can figure out the details. Everybody, Senator Bailey?
What is the current law now and how it affects exactly the way someone would pay back right now?
The testimony was that currently, when the person leaves incarceration, they end up having to think about the things that they could not pay at that time, and that they would just enter the program or enter other arrangements to pay back the tax. The comptroller did testify that there are some programs available currently that they could be eligible for, but a lot of times they don't know. The incarcerated individuals don't know that these programs are available.
So that was my confusion with this was when a person gets out of incarceration, the few cases that I have been familiar with is then they would meet with their probation agent. They would meet with a representative to look at their tax complications, and then they would go back through the court and they would establish an opportunity that would not be a hard and fast rule that would cause them such a hardship, right? They would be able to work it out over a period of time. And I just wanted to make sure with us putting these dates in here that we weren't going to interrupt something that, at least from some of the cases that I had been familiar with, I thought that process was sort of working. I didn't completely understand the problem that we were solving here.
Can we find out what these, what other programs that the comptroller may be referencing?
Yes.
Before we go down this road? I mean, from my perspective, I think we should be doing what we can to get people back. on their feet, and if they're willing to live up to their responsibilities, it's a good thing that we can help
Yeah.
them do that. So, I guess, let's just figure out what else exists out there. Okay, like I said, it's gonna be a short one today. That does it.